Up for Discussion Live. Hosted by Jeff Sylvia and Shannon Sylvia. Bringing you the hottest topic, the coolest guests, and a live chat. So you can be part of it all. Up for Discussion Live starts now.
Thank you for joining us on the show where anything is up for discussion. You got me, Jeff, alongside the always colorfully commentated Shannon.
Colorfully commentated.
How are you, my dear?
If I was as colorful as I wanted to be, I wouldn't be on the air.
Well, that's how you know we're not drinking this early, because if I can say colorly commentated.
9 o'clock.
Hey.
It's all good. I'm well. I'm cold. It's freezing. It's going to snow. So, hey.
It is. It's going to snow yet
tomorrow.
Again. It just never ends. It just keeps coming. And most of us are ready to slit our own throats. That's for sure.
Pretty much.
Yeah. What the hell?
So tired of it. So, how are you doing?
Wow. We've now gotten together a new mothership here, and we'll be flying it for the first time tonight, folks. That's what we'll be doing, because it's kind of like, the pilot that's been flying the 737, and now maybe he's flying a 767, and it's the same ship. It's just a little bit bigger, a little bit faster.
Oh, you caught
a lot
me
more
throwing
stuff.
my wire over my head.
I did.
Sorry.
That's all right. And that we do want to make a little announcement here. We are doing a little rebranding and a little move to the future.
Clearly, if you look above.
There we go. We are now the PTV Webcast Network, formerly known and still powered by Pararock and Pararock Productions. And we thank you guys for joining us there, and hit us up on YouTube and Facebook and all that good stuff, and more news to come. We want to thank everybody also for joining us on LATV. Carl and Tina and Robert and Jack and Shane and everybody over there do a tremendous job helping us out, and we appreciate the airtime and the help in the studio and everything else we get to have fun with over there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so back to branding. I mean, your radio guy looks different. He looks kind of like a radio guy meets Spider-Man. Like a worm-like form he's taking there. And you now have PTV. It's different.
All right. Well, different is good. We're moving on. And we want to welcome all of you guys for joining us around the world on your handheld mobile devices, your tablets, your iPhones, your smartphones, and of course on your PCs, and also on the big screen as well. We thank you all for joining us here. And now we've got quite a show tonight, Shannon, but we would be remiss if we did not visit last week when we missed those guys last week, didn't we? We didn't do a show last week, or did we?
No, we didn't. Were we away?
I think you know what it was? I think the stuff hit the Westinghouse last week is what it was. It was no joke. No April Fool's joke.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. But in any event, it was April Fool's last week, guys, and there's always interesting stuff that goes along with April Fool's, because as you get older, I don't believe you get any less prone to jokes, Shannon, and you were kind of at the head of one there, so why don't you just explain to the friendly folks how you got everything started?
Well, let's recap, Jeff. I mean, April Fool's Day is a long-standing tradition of playing jokes on people.
Yes, it is.
I don't know where it originated from. Do you?
I was asking Jack at the station, and we're going to do some research there. If anybody in the chat room knows, maybe that's worth a
if
giveaway
you're asking
prize.
Jack and you didn't get an answer, then nobody seems to know.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, Nathan's good like that. He should throw it out there in the chat where that April Fool's Day originated from, but so people play jokes on each other. The number one joke is, "Oh, honey, I'm pregnant." You post it on Facebook.
Honey, I'm pregnant. I lost my job, and
so I decided to think outside the box a little bit, and I posted something on Facebook, which got very large, copious amounts of attention, and phone calls were flooding to my bakery and my cell phone and my inbox from infuriated people believing that joke was true.
Well, tell them about the joke. Tell them what it was.
I simply wrote on my status line that a certain somebody has been posting nude pictures to me repeatedly. Why don't you guys check out this person's profile, hit them up, and tell them how inappropriate it is, and give them a piece of your mind. So I posted a link, and the specially encoded link was a link simply back to absolutely everybody else's own profile. So Jeff,
all right. So let me understand this. if I clicked on the link, which I didn't, we'll get to that in just a second, it would take me back to my own profile, right? It wouldn't take me to anybody else's. Is that correct to assume?
Right. Just
Okay.
you would see your own profile.
Okay.
Your aunt would have seen her profile.
Right.
Your boss, if you had one, would have seen his profile.
George Bush.
Nobody else
his
would have
own
seen
profile.
your profile, Jeff, but you.
Okay. So with that said, I saw a bunch of these pop up at the same time on my news feed, so I knew it was a hoax right away.
So everybody was seeing their profiles pop up, thinking that they were posting nude pictures, and I was trying to call them out.
Well, again, I saw a bunch of those jokes, not
Right,
only
right.
from you but from other people. So
Right.
I knew right away that I wasn't gonna like click that on, because it could be a virus, it could be spam, it could be anything, and not for nothing. What the hell am I going to look at nudie pictures for, right? I mean, I'm a happily married guy.
Right.
That's the only nudie pictures I want to
Guys
see.
never
you.
look at nude pictures.
You know, well, you don't bring sand to the beach if you're a smart guy, you know? So anybody that's like going to look at nudie pictures is like suspect to begin with. So here we go. Shannon's got this joke going, and, she's posting it up there, and the phone calls start coming in. Well, I get a phone call, folks. I get a phone call from what I consider to be a good friend. I would say not a good friend, but an acquaintance anyway.
An acquaintance, yeah.
An acquaintance, somebody that we've known in the past. That's pretty cool. So, I couldn't believe it, so I posted up here on Facebook. I spent a little time this morning looking at your naked photo joke, and I said that's, called BS on that. So I didn't fall for it. I didn't click it, right? So this person decided they clicked it, and when it went back to his own page, and I'll say it's a he completely freaked out. So he got so bent out of shape, Shannon, that he couldn't stop F-bombing me. I mean, he started calling me and yelling at me and called me every name in the book. And he was so pissed off that he even said to me, and I quote, "Everybody is calling me because they feel that now I'm posting naked pictures, and this is going to ruin my reputation as a professional. So everybody's calling me." And Shannon, if I remember just a little while ago, you had told me that it doesn't go to any profile but your own, right?
Right.
So
Guaranteed.
So what he's saying was utterly impossible.
Right.
So now he's red. He's red in the face. He's drooling and spitting and all kinds of crazy things.
Foaming at the mouth.
It really is.
I was getting those emails too.
Oh, yeah, we both were.
How dare I?
I'm trying to explain in a calm tone, and I'm Portuguese. I've always been a little hot-headed, and I'm trying to get out of that as I get older, but it doesn't take much, and I'm in a calm tone. I'm breathing. I'm exercising my yoga skills and just trying just trying to chill and go to my little happy place. And meanwhile, I'm just being like berated to the core. And he wouldn't let me get a word in edgewise. I'm trying to explain it goes to your own Facebook profile. Like if I clicked on it, it'd go to mine. If
nobody's boss is seeing that.
No.
Nobody's getting called into the boardroom. You should have seen how many emails I got saying that. I'm getting in trouble by my boss. Oh, shut the F up. No, you're not. I was writing people back, you big fat liar, and just unfriending them.
I mean,
Shut up. Stop. I was just mad. I'm like, just stop lying to me, because that's not true.
I mean, in all seriousness,
I was getting angry phone calls at my job. I can't believe somebody would go that far to track me down. I mean, it's not hard, but
pretty close to
who does that?
Pretty close to one of those, I would say. Right?
This guy that emailed you had emailed me saying, "How dare you? What gives you the right to do that to me?" And it's like, dude, I kept saying, he said, he said, "You need to apologize to me." I wrote back and said, "For what?" And I said, "For what?" He unfriended me, blocked me.
So I said, "Why are you going to look at naked pictures anyway, dumbass?" So
you guilty of something there?
This quickly became our public opinion question of the week. April Fools or not April Fools? Brilliant April Fool's joke or complete? Now here's the kicker, Shannon. Here's the kicker. When this person called me back and started screaming at me so belligerently, I thought it was a prank. I
Yeah,
thought
you thought he was
I
kidding.
thought he was turning the April Fool's back on me, and I'm like, okay, this is great. And I even said that to him. I said, April Fool's, and it just escalated him even more. He got more pissed off because it really wasn't an April Fool's joke after all. I was dumbfounded because I'm sitting here going, this has got to be, and they're both in on it. So I'm sitting here thinking about you at home going, that little shit. She's in on it too.
You call me screaming.
She's firing him up.
Fuck?
He's an actor. You
What
can't.
the fuck?
Hey, whoa, you can't say that. What did you say? Oh, is that a Dennis quote? You better explain.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
What the fuck? We
Okay.
watched a press.
All right, we got to put the LA TV banner up for this one
What
because
the fuck?
at the LA TV Awards, okay, Dennis, the very nice gentleman that just retired there, decided that he would roll a video. And back in the day, there were words that you couldn't say on television, and this is how you got around them. So
He was just a kid.
Everybody
so all
was
of them
walking-
got together and made something up.
everybody was walking out of there going, "What the fuck?
What the fuck?"
F-A.
Oh, it caught on viral and lemons. Well, that's all we say now is what the fuck.
Okay.
So we can
All
say
right.
that on LA TV.
So yeah, I guess we can say that, but we did put it up for public opinion on the April Fool's thing, and it was and a lot of great comments. 100% of them, folks, voted dumbass. So
Yeah, we had
there
a
wasn't anybody
huge-
I'm sorry, there wasn't anybody that came to this person's defense at all.
No, we had a huge following. People were thanking me for playing such a
They
brilliant
really
joke.
were. That's what I was. Brilliant. Shannon always comes up with the good ones. Good Lord, I clicked it, saw my page, and laughed. Some people just need to get a grip.
Yeah.
Right?
People are saying it was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
I had to field a lot of emails, though. People were just really confused, and I kept saying, like, underneath the post was all of us laughing about the joke.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was saying, oh, my God, for a minute I thought that was me. That was brilliant. And then nobody would read it, so they just beeline for the post, and they were bitching me out.
So here I thought at the end of the day that said person, said dumbass, would figure it out and maybe give me a courtesy call. I've never had an ill word with this person. As a matter of fact, I was on the air the week before talking about how he lost his cat and how I felt so bad for him.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to know who that is, they can go to our YouTube page and check out our archives. And if you want to check out that last show, you'll get the name of the dumbass. Feel free to email.
He's
on our
not
behalf,
from
right?
Old Hampshire.
No.
He's from.
It could be.
You guys can fill in the blanks.
It could be.
So
It could be,
I just got an inbox message, and somebody wanted me to touch my headphones if I was really like doing this live, so that I could say
okay.
hi to
All
James
right.
McMichael. But I can actually say hi to you, James McMichael, live.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
We don't have to like do any code words
No,
here.
this is
We're
live.
good. This is live. We're
We're
good.
live. We're good. That's right. Okay.
Yeah. So the joke was funny. I mean, frig. I mean, I didn't see a cool joke anywhere. So I really had an awesome one. I can't say that I invented it. I just posted it.
I really thought you
And
were both in it. But
it was brilliant.
All right.
People were mad.
all right. Well,
good.
happy April Fools to you guys too, and to the dumbass. Sorry, man. We tried. We really did. Now, speaking of crazy stuff, I know you do the Who Does That all the time, and I know once in a while in life you kind of see something on your own. I know you get great stories from the internet, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but there's times in your life where you just kind of run up along something on your own, and Shannon, this was one of those things. I was actually following this yesterday morning, and if you remember Sanford and Son,
The slightly illegal.
that is on the streets of Leominster, and we happen to live on Main Street, so that is actually on Main Street in Leominster, Massachusetts, ladies
so
and gentlemen.
illegal.
Yeah,
Where are the cops when you need them?
the cops drove right by
What the
twice,
fuck?
one in each direction. Shannon, hand to God, they didn't care. They really didn't care.
I'm dumbfounded that nothing fell off that, because yesterday was one of the windiest days ever. We had I don't know how they got away with that.
I
but-
was ready. It took a couple of left turns, and if you see, there's a slight teetering, we might say, to the right hand side. And as you take a left turn, the centrifugal force might cause a little bit of a, let's call it, exciting situation. So
Look at it, yeah.
I was waiting. I was waiting as this thing took a left hand turn. I
Yeah.
was just waiting for couple of those chairs to end up in the local.
Bringing a little bit of Kentucky to Leominster, Massachusetts. Yes, thank you, whoever that is. I hope you're watching.
And all of you in Kentucky, send your hate mail to Shannon at ptv.com, right?
Yeah, I may have seen that stuff before, but we don't see that in the outskirts of Boston here.
No,
so
not usually.
That just doesn't happen, but I'm glad you got that picture. I remember over the wintertime, I took the picture of the dump truck overflowing with snow.
Oh, yeah.
Like an actual garbage truck removing snow. That's how much we had trying to take snow away.
Yeah, we had the National Guard. And I don't even want to go there. I don't want to relive it for 1 second.
No.
I'm sorry. We're moving on. We're moving on from this horrendous winter. And, we're hopefully not going to get any more of it tomorrow. But we do have a great show for you guys tonight. Coming up later in the show, we're going to talk about the greatest maritime disaster you've never heard of, Shannon. There's a lot of interesting information coming with that. And, guys, it just blows the Titanic away. So stick around for that as well. We want to take this opportunity to thank those who support the show, our trusty sponsors. Our oldest and most trusty sponsor, Leominster Storage Solutions, out there on Central Street. We want to thank them for all that they do for us. And if you want to find out more, you can call them at 466-8887 or visit them online at leominsterstorage.com. One of our yummy sponsors is of Mariano's in Purple, Massachusetts. We want to thank Pam and everybody out there for not only taking care of us, but, man, every time we go there, it's a food fest. We love it.
We do.
Absolutely. We can find them at 105 Main Street in Pepperell and visit them online at mariositalian.com. And as we're rolling through food sponsors, we want to say hi to our buddies over there at Village Pizza. We had some tonight. Shannon, you got me hooked on Hawaiian pizza.
I can't believe it.
I hate all the ingredients. I got to stop right here.
I can't believe it.
I can't stand pineapples. Can't stand ham with pineapples. Never liked Italian pizza in my life. And I got to hand it to these guys over at Village Pizza. They've made a believer out of me. They'll make a believer out of you. And you can visit them up there at King's Corner. Or get a hold of them at 343-7722. And for the greatest coffee in the entire planet, whether you're doing the bold roast or the Sheen and Sylvia morning roast, make sure you check out Sasquatch Coffee. You can visit them at sasquatchcoffee.com. And our most favorite sponsor, because I will never, ever, ever forget to mention anything to do with my little lovely again, 368 Central Street is where you can find the confectionery crack that is called Shancakes over there in Leominster, and you can call them at 978-840-4343 or visit them and Shannon herself at shancakes.com. All right, kid?
Yay.
How did I do? Did I cover everything?
Would love to see you guys.
All right. I know
did.
you would. All right. I want to make sure I do. We got a great bunch of new shows, Shannon, that have also started here on the network.
Do tell.
Dale LePage brings incredible talent. Every single show he does gets just amazing musicians from every genre of music. And not only are we putting together This Is the Nightlife with Dale LePage, but here's a little sneak peek behind the scenes, kid. We're actually doing a little sideshow at the same time. I didn't know if you knew that, but we were actually doing two shows simultaneously at one time. And the second show is going to be called Duets with Dale. And it's a great compilation of all of these amazing musicians that come on This Is the Nightlife. And they join him for different duets. And it's a great time. You guys won't want to miss that one as well. And Shannon's obviously thinking of something else, doing something else. And
that's all right. Bag of Farts just nailed it. Did you say compilation?
Compilation with an M.
Okay.
Comp.
He says,
What the fuck? What the fuck?
I heard that too, Bag of Farts. I did. It was a compilation.
Compilation. We'll have to go to the replay. What the fuck? We're going to get a mileage out of that one.
We don't want to copulate on the air.
No, we'll never.
A copulation.
Copulate me, I'll copulate you back. Bitch.
Just saying. I know what I heard, but
all right.
It's all good.
We're going to put this thing back on the rails. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, your little lovely over there, Sheen and Sylvia, brings you the colorful commentary that is the Who Does That? Her compilation of videos from around the internet. God bless you.
I love allergies.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
Up for discussion with Jeff and Shannon Sylvia. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Let's make a soul connection. Soul to soul connection.
Up for Discussion Live is brought to you in part by Lemonster Storage Solutions, Mariano's Restaurante, Sasquatch Coffee, and Village Pizza.
Oh yeah, when you hear that music, it can only mean one thing. It's that segment of the program when Shannon Sylvie asks, who does that? And now, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Shannon Sylvie.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you for being very patient, because God knows you have listened to the show for 21 consecutive minutes, hoping that I would hurry up and do this segment because it's your favorite part of the show.
It's everybody's favorite part.
All right, the Who Does That segment, where I scour the internet for 3 amazing, awesome, true stories.
You might even say it's a compilation of videos.
It's a
wouldn't you?
compilation of
Okay.
videos.
All right, now that we have that straight.
Well, not videos, but stories tonight.
Okay.
That are kind of like, head scratchers. Like, who would really do that? So I say, who does that?
Yes, you do.
Right, Jeff?
Kind of like this.
Does that?
Excellent.
All right.
That's me. All right, first story comes out of Seattle. We don't do Seattle often enough. DNA testing for dog poop is on the rise. Yes, it is. Factual information. Frustrated with dog owners who refuse to clean up after their pets. In the increasing numbers of apartments in Seattle are opting to use DNA testing to identify the culprits. How does that work, you say?
That's just bad.
The Seattle Times reports that a company called BioPet Vet Lab from Knoxville, Tennessee, is providing its poop prints testing kits to 26 apartment and condo complexes and homeowners in the region.
Really?
Poop prints testing kits.
Really?
Let's go back. Poop prints.
Poop prints. So they're to make it cutesy.
Well, messes are all over the place. So there was poop inside the elevators, in the carpeted hallways, up on the roof.
Okay.
The manager is now saying they're lazy on the roof.
Wait a second. Is that really?
Apparently,
On
there
the
are dogs
roof?
being walked on the roof. He's calling people lazy. That is why, since February 2014, tenants have been paying a one-time fee of $29.95 for a DNA kit. They have to. So, BioPet says in the past 5 years, DNA test has been used in nearly 1,000 places around the country, especially popular in Miami, Dallas, Los Angeles, and other large cities.
Jesus.
The marketing took a little longer to reach the Northwest, but King something Pierce counties, it looks like Snohomish Pierce, no idea where this county is,
Okay.
are opportune sites. They're home to about 811,000 dogs. Seattle has about 50% more dogs than kids.
Wow.
What are we moving?
Yeah. I know. Because we love dogs.
Right, and kids are okay. One study said the average poop weighs 1/3 of a pound, and the dogs in that 3-county region are responsible for about 268,000 pounds of poo a day.
Oh, my.
It's a lot.
It is.
So after some initial finds, DNA testing is working at the complex with 24 or so dogs.
Okay.
One person was fined 5 times in 1 week. That's over $500. Now people clean up after their dogs. They're being taken seriously now. The fines are starting at $59.95 to have the poop tested, and $50 for the complex to have to collect the sample and send it out for testing.
All right.
Who does that?
I just want to know, like, how they measure, like, the average weight of poop. Because,
1/3 of a pound.
Well, wet poop weighs more than dry poop, because the more you weight, right? The
Bet you
poop's
if
just
you
going
have
to dry
a
up.
Great Dane, your poop weighs more than 1/3 of a pound.
That's true.
And if you get a little teeny Chihuahua, it doesn't weigh 1/3 of a pound.
That's true. But
I wonder what human poop weighs. We should weigh ourselves before and after on the We Fit.
Oh, God. We're just, yeah. Okay. What else you got, Kim?
All right. So a man came up with a brilliant idea. Of course, Jeff, you thought of this, but somebody beat you to the punch. This comes out of Fife, Washington. Another Washington story for you.
Okay.
Washington State Patrol Trooper says it's by far the best carpool scam he's seen yet, but it didn't work. As Como TV puts it, troopers don't always stop people in the HOV lanes, but when they do, they prefer those passengers.
Dos.
A motorcycle trooper parked along Interstate 5 near Tacoma on Monday afternoon spotted a driver and rather unusual passenger passed by him in the carpool lane. When the trooper stopped the car, he discovered the passenger was a cardboard cutout of the actor who portrays the most interesting man in the world in Dos Equis beer ads. Driver's response, he's my best friend. The most interesting man was not confiscated, but the driver was told not to use him again. Channeling the cardboard cutout, the State Patrol tweeted, I don't always violate the HOV lane, but when I do, I get a $124 ticket.
Who does that?
Wow.
Awesome. This is an awesome story. This one cracked me up today. A new TLC, like I actually watch that channel a lot. The new show, Labor Games, quizzes moms in the delivery room.
Oh, mercy. Really?
So giving birth is such a breeze. Most moms wish they could take on another task during labor, like competing on a game show. No effing way would I be in the most laborious state of my life in pain, and would I want to be on television, because being on television when I wasn't in pain was painful enough.
It's a girl.
Well, you might assume that from watching TLC's new quiz show, Labor Games takes the cash cab formula to new heights by surprising couples in a hospital delivery room.
Wow.
With the chance to win prizes for their baby-to-be. What if there's a problem with the baby? Oh my God, could you imagine?
I don't think they would air that episode, Shannon.
Right.
Yeah.
TLC will offer a sneak preview of Labor Games on May 9th as part of a 7-day block of mom-themed programming titled The Mother of All Weeks.
Just not really.
Variety reports. Pegged to the celebration of Mother's Day, the thematic week is already earning the nickname Shark Week for Moms or Mom's Week. While this all seems certainly like an April Fool's joke, several casting call notices from earlier this year suggested that Labor Games is the real deal.
Okay.
The description reads, you need to answer 7 questions, and with each question you will receive great prizes as such a year's supply of diapers, cleaning services. Win it all, you will take home a chunk of money to put it towards a college fund. Now go push.
All right, now go push. Oh
my Lord.
Goodness.
Who does that?
I would watch
Wow.
that. I
Would you really?
You know what? I always say, like, they've pushed the limits of programming, but I do believe that in circumstances like this is fascinating. I would like to see that. I'm getting bored with some of the other programming things out there. Like, they have Cupcake Wars, now they have Donut Wars. It's the same thing.
Now they have Baby
It's just
Wars.
a different cake. It's like donuts. What's next? Like Donut Hole Wars?
I want to go
Cookie
to,
Wars?
ladies in the chat room. We want to say hi to everybody in the chat room, by the way. And ladies in the chat room that have had children, is this something that you're interested in seeing, or are you you're just not wanting to go back there? What do you guys think?
And what about the Scientologists that you have to be real quiet during delivery? They would be disqualified. They couldn't answer all 7 questions.
9 out of 10, perhaps. They're making up new names as they go along. It's.
Really? Can you imagine, like, beep, 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 you effing beep.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
We are just going to be like editing the crap out of that. And what's it called again?
Labor Wars or something like Labor
Games.
Labor Games.
Labor Games. My goodness. All right. All right, guys, we're going to keep things rolling here. When we come back, we're going to talk about the greatest maritime disaster you've never heard of with the producers of the Sultana, and also joining us, very special co-host Michael Johnson. So stick around. You're watching UpForDiscussionLive.com. We'll be right back.
It's okay to cheat on your same old network with us. We won't tell.
And now back to Up for Discussion right here on Para-Rock TV.
All right, welcome back to Up for Discussion Live here on LATV, Leominster All Access Television, as well as the mothership, UpForDiscussionLive.com. And joining us now from North Carolina is our dear and trusty, tried and true PTV member and host, Michael Johnson. Michael, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Well, I must not be all that thrust on South Carolina, Jeff.
Oh, that's right, Carolina. I knew you were in the Carolinas, north-south. You guys are all getting way better weather than us in the wintertime, so sorry about that, buddy.
Hello, Alexa. I'm sorry, I just saw the chat room. Alexa said hello, so I said hello back.
All right. Now, there's a very special reason that you're joining us tonight. Not only are you a host and producer here at the network, but you're also very connected to a very special project with some family ties. Why don't you start leading in and tell the folks about how you got started?
Well, anybody knows me knows I'm really into my genealogy and my family history. And about 20 years ago, I'd heard that I had a great-great-uncle that survived the Sultana tragedy.
Wow.
We're putting his picture up now, and
See the resemblance?
little bit of a resemblance, I might say. We're getting a little bit of stuff off of, I think it's Mike's phone over there. I don't know if he's throwing it around in a tin can or rumbling around in a barrel or whatever you're doing over there, buddy. Can you hear us? I don't know, but
It's windy.
yeah, it's got to be windy where he is, perhaps up on the top of a building in the middle of a can. But yeah, there's quite a resemblance there, and so what is the tie there, and how did all that come to be with your uncle being part of that?
Well, he was actually captured in Alabama, and so he spent some time in Cahaba POW camp outside Selma, Alabama.
Okay.
After Lincoln was killed, after the Civil War was over and Lincoln was murdered, they actually transferred POWs from Alabama to Vicksburg, Mississippi.
Vicksburg, okay.
Vicksburg.
Okay.
There's an A in there, Vicksburg.
Vicksburg.
Right. And what had happened was they had loaded men up on these steamships to take them back up north and back home.
Okay.
There was a lot of underhanded dealings. The Sultana was legally supposed to hold a total of 367 people.
Okay. Wow, really? That's it, huh?
Yeah. By the time she left, that's actually the last picture of the Sultana.
Okay.
And if you look at it, you can see that she's starting to list to starboard.
Yep. That'd be the right side for those who are not in nautical terms, right, Mike?
Right.
Okay.
And when the men saw the camera, they all rushed to the starboard side, and you see how she's starting to lift.
Yep.
Starboard. Wow. That was actually the last picture, though, of the Sultana right there.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
My great uncle actually, if you see where the pilot house is, just above the Sultana wheel.
All right. We'll put
He was
that back
sleeping
up.
just before the pilot house. That was the hurricane deck.
Wow. So he was actually part of the disaster and on the Sultana.
Wow.
Right. By the time he left Vicksburg, there was 2,300 men, women, at least one child on board.
Wow. My goodness. Now, for those of you who are just joining us, we're talking about one of the greatest maritime disasters ever. And in comparison, a lot more people than even on the Titanic that perished in the Sultana disaster. Mike, you also have a couple of very special guests that are joining us. And this happened was it 200 years ago? 18?
It'll be 150.
1865?
1865. April 27, 1865.
Okay. All right. So 150th anniversary. There's some very special things going on. And at this time, we'd like to bring in our guests. Mike, why don't you introduce our two esteemed guests for this evening?
Okay, the producers of the documentary that's coming out, Mike and Mark Marshall.
Let's say hello to Mark. Mark first, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Great, and thank you so much for joining us. And Mike Marshall as well, thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure.
All right. You guys got involved with this project as producers, took on the story. Not a lot of people know about this. The story hasn't been told, up until this point. Why is that? Why is this great disaster, this maritime disaster that killed more people than the Titanic, why do you feel it's been kept so quiet all these years?
Mike, you want to answer that? Well, there was a great deal going on in the month of April 1865 with Lincoln's assassination, the hunt for John Wilkes Booth, the end of the war, All of these guys, most of them anyway, who were on the boat, were from the Midwest. They were just common people. The country had been through 4 years of war. They were tired of hearing about it, tired of hearing about death. So it just didn't make the newspaper headlines. It wasn't well known, and of course the men who survived really didn't want to talk about it very much either. So it just kind of was stillborn.
Wow, amazing. And there's also a little bit of, let's call it conspiracy theory behind this. This took place during, of course, as you said, the Lincoln era, and a lot of stuff going on with Civil War and turmoil in this country. Could you touch a little bit upon the conspiracy theories that have been going on through the years as well? We'll go to Mark.
Oh, well, I'll tell you the main conspiracy theory, which has pretty much been discounted, was that a Confederate sympathizer, loyalist, planted an explosive in a piece of coal, a fake piece of coal, and it was, the coal was fed into the boiler, the fires, it exploded, and that caused the explosion. But like I said, that's a far-flung theory. And we really don't give it any credence at all. I don't think any of the experts do.
Okay. So fact or faked, we're going to go with faked on that one. That's good.
Yes.
Now, Mike Johnson, I know you've been very, very involved with this project, and I would consider you now somewhat of an expert. You've done your research, you've done a ton of homework, and this is stuff that you've studied for years. What's your take on all this? Because you and I have talked about this many times.
Well, I think that just the whole story actually leads credence to the fact that it was a terrible accident.
Mm-hmm.
The boiler had actually developed a hole in it before they ever made it to Vicksburg. Okay. And the captain's name was Captain Mason, knew that the boiler was supposed to be replaced and not patched.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And was getting $5 for every enlisted man he carried up north, and $10 for every officer. So a lot of greed was involved also, and he wanted to get the boiler patched. He wanted to get on his way and get his money.
The almighty dollar.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny because the captain was actually overheard saying, and this is why I'm thinking it was actually just a really bad accident. I think it was like 1 or 2 days after they left Vicksburg, Captain Mason was actually overheard saying, I would give up all the money that I was getting for this trip if I could just get these men home safely.
Wow. Interesting. And how many of the 1,800 were military personnel? Because you had said there was a mix of not only military but civilians and children as well. How was it represented across the board?
Okay, there were 2,300 military. Wow. I'm not sure exactly the count of the civilians. I do know there was one baby that actually died.
Oh, jeez.
Her mother and the baby went down to Vicksburg to pick up her husband.
Wow.
Husband and the baby drowned and never did recover the bodies.
It's awful.
And this, of course, took place on the mighty Mississippi River. Is that correct?
2 miles north of Memphis.
Okay. All right. Wow. Unbelievable. Now, I want to go to our producers here who are joining us. Mike and Mark Marshall are producers of the upcoming movie, which goes into the tragedy that was the Sultana. How did you guys get involved in documenting this, and what gave you, the push and the power and the guts behind it to get involved in a project like this?
I'll tell you, Mike's the one who found the story about 13, 14 years ago, so I'll let him go ahead and start out and explain that.
2001, December of 2001, I was on a research trip on another subject, stopped by Andersonville, visited their gift shop there at the prison site, and there was a book about the Sultana, and I stood right in the middle of the gift shop and read most of it while everybody else was trying to get around me. I'm sure they were pretty perturbed. But
did you pay for the book after?
I'd never heard of it. Never been taught in school. And so my brother was in post-production on a movie at that time, and I called him and said, if there's not a documentary out there, we really need to look at this, because we had just started our own production company.
Okay.
And that was the beginning of it.
Wow. I just got to ask you, I'm sorry I was interrupting you there, but did you pay for the book after you read half of it in the store?
Yes, I ended up buying the book.
Okay, all right, that's good. Then we can continue the interview. That's great. Now, you guys working together as brothers, that's an interesting combination. You don't see a lot of brothers out there producing together. How did you guys get together and want to start this company and get it all going?
Well, I'll tell you, you want to work with the people you trust, and there's nothing stronger than a family bond. And I'll tell you, if you can produce a project together and still talk to each other at the end, then you know that bond is completely unbreakable. And Mike and I found that we just enjoy working together. Mike is an avid researcher. He finds the most interesting subjects, and I've been in the motion picture industry for over 30 years now, and actually going on 35, and it just seemed like a natural fit for us. But we had spent most of our lives working independently of each other, and this was a great opportunity. So, we pooled the money, we bought the equipment and did the travel, and we shot the entire documentary. It got into post-production and ran out of money.
Oh.
And so the project languished for a couple of years, but Mike, being the honorable brother, said, look, we made a promise to the descendants that we would do this documentary. And by the time we really kind of regrouped and started really avidly trying to figure out how we were going to do this, it was coming up on the 150th anniversary, so we figured that was the perfect time to do it. And we did a Kickstarter campaign that also was headed toward failure, and I called a friend of mine, an actor friend of mine who I've known for 30 years, and asked if he would be interested in narrating the documentary, and he said, well, let me take a look at the project. And he called me back 10 minutes later and said, I'll not only narrate it, but I want to executive produce it, and the first thing you need to do is cancel that Kickstarter campaign and redo it. So I was just in the process of moving back to Los Angeles after being in Oklahoma for several years, and we redid the Kickstarter. Got a great team around us, and in 45 days, I'm sorry, we raised. We were going for $75,000. We raised $108,000.
Wow!
And that really kicked it into high gear. It enabled us to do the interviews in high def instead of just the standard def that we had done the original documentary in. And got some wonderful actors to do voices, and it has really come together. And we're putting the finishing touches on it now, and we debut 3 weeks from last night.
Fantastic, awesome. Fantastic. Now, what I need to know is what kind of reaction do you want with this film? What do you hope to accomplish in producing a film like this?
Well, for my part, Mike, you want to go ahead and handle it first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, for my part, the whole reason that the descendants meet every year and have since 1987 is to try to make people aware that the tragedy happened, that their ancestors gave their lives in the line of duty, even though it was peacetime. They were victims of war. And they just want somebody to recognize the sacrifice that their ancestors made. And that's what, we want out of this documentary, is when people finish watching this, it will be unforgettable to them. And even more, they'll question, why didn't we know about it? Why isn't it taught? Why did our country, allow this to slip into history unnoticed? And I hope it raises a lot of questions, and I also hope it brings some closure to some of the descendants too, who, like I said, have tried so hard for so many years, and Michael can attest to this, and telling anybody who will listen about the disaster.
Wow. One of the amazing things that I'm getting here is, you look at the Titanic, and although it was a tragedy, for years, all of the, let's call it press and movies surrounding it were all based on a love story. It was very easy to watch. It had, a real heartfelt thing to it. And this is something that, number one, hasn't been covered. Number two, brings a lot of tragedy and really in a rough part of our country's history. You had mentioned the Lincoln assassination and the other things going on at that time and Civil War. This is a much harder project, to bring to light. Did you guys struggle with, how to produce this and how to bring it out to your public and your audience? Because, there isn't a great love story involved. It's not a very pleasant story by any stretch. And of course you want to inform, but man, that must have been a tough one to do.
Well, the thing is, and that's another reason that we want this to be known. It's interesting because when you talk about the Titanic, and you talk about naturally the Vanderbilts and the Astors that went down with the ship, the rich and the powerful. What you don't talk about, or what we don't hear about, are those third-class steerage passengers, the Irish immigrants, whole families that drowned because they were locked underneath, inside the ship. And the same thing with the Sultana. If General Grant or President Lincoln had been aboard, it would have been front-page news for weeks.
Good point.
But these were, as Jerry Potter, the author, says, these were common men. They hadn't made their mark on life yet. And because, and history doesn't remember the common man. So that was a big challenge. Mike can speak to the rest of it, but that was the challenge for us, was to, bring out the humanity of these soldiers and let people know that they were real people.
Wow. Now, Mike Johnson is joining us here from South Carolina, as duly noted. And Mike, you've been very, very involved in this project. How do you feel being involved in this? You're on both sides of this. I mean, we spoke before, and we heard Mike and Mark Marshall, who are our guests tonight, talking about the families and the descendants of everybody that was involved in this project. You're not only on a production side, but you also had a relative that was part of this disaster. So you actually are walking both sides of the fence. How is that for you, not only being part of the story, but also, part of the legacy as a descendant?
Well, first off, I want to take a moment to give respect to my great-great-uncle. He was Lewis Johnson. He was with the 9th Indiana Cavalry. He was actually taken prisoner in Alabama. And the really bad thing is, I found out a few years ago, I actually lived within a mile of the site that he was captured at.
Wow. Wow.
I was within a mile of where he was captured. And I was already moved out of Alabama when I found out.
No kidding.
It makes me sick, to be honest with you, because if you look at these men, some of the men that actually were on the Sultana was not only in Cahaba, but some of them were actually at Andersonville.
Okay.
And of course, we all know about the horror stories that came out of Andersonville. These men were malnourished. They were sick. Some of them could barely walk. They were just, and all they wanted was the joy of being able to go home.
And that's what this whole thing was about. That ship, its sole purpose was to bring soldiers home.
And, and to have that taken away from them. I'm not sure, a little funny note, I'm not sure if Mike and Mark actually brought this up in the documentary or not, but the Sultana actually had an alligator as its mascot.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
Mike, Mark, did you bring that up in the documentary about the alligator?
We did. We do bring it up, absolutely.
But yeah, they actually had an alligator mascot. But no, I have been fighting for years, and I tell anybody and everybody I possibly can about the Sultana. Even teachers at the high school level, I bring it up. My daughter is 17 years old.
Yep.
And I believe 2 years ago, I actually brought it up to her history professor, and he had never, ever heard of it.
Really?
But I gave him the information, and he has promised me he's going to put it into his curriculum starting this year.
Wow, that's really cool. That's amazing. If you can make a difference like that, that's really saying something. And I know that must bring, some sort of closure, at least to know that the story is going to be told, not only now at a curriculum in a high school, but also, nationally and possibly internationally in a film. How does that make you feel, Mike?
Well, I've told Michael, because Michael and I have actually developed a relationship over the years. I consider him a dear friend, and Mark as well, but I don't know Mark as well as I do Michael. But the bottom line is, if I actually ever win the lottery, the first $1 million I'm going to spend is to get with these two gentlemen and do a full-fledged movie on the Sultana.
Wow.
Okay.
Pay off the bills, though, first. Keep a little for yourself, okay? Just a little.
I also want folks to know, too, that I have been trying for the past 15 years to get a postage stamp.
Of the Sultana?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Well, it is an uphill battle, they have a whole bunch of red tape you have to go through, and it makes me so mad because Elvis has a stamp, Islam has a stamp, the Beatles have a stamp. Well, when I go to try to get the Sultana, what I got was red tape. Has to be within 50-year increments before we'll honor that. And then it'll go before a board to get voted on and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, look, people, it's time.
No.
Michael, I wanted to bring this up. You and I were talking about the fact that there may not be able to get a monument on Washington Square Mall, but possibly they could erect something in Arlington.
That's what one of our executive producers is looking into. There is that avenue, and if anybody can do it, then he can.
Now, we are showing a monument on the screen, and that looks like it's from Arkansas. Tell us the relativity of that and how that monument came to be.
That's a good question. It's I'm trying to place which one. I think that's probably the one on the. Oh boy, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. If that's the one in Marion, Arkansas, that was actually put there as a joint effort between the city of Marion and one of the groups that the commemorative groups. And actually, there are markers in every state that lost a significant number of soldiers except for one. Yeah. Several states have multiple markers. There's just never been a national marker.
Okay.
And probably won't be, but that's why we're trying to get an effort together to have something at Arlington. And
you were exactly right, because it does mention Miriam in there, so I think you're right on the money with that as well. That's awesome.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I do want to ask this question, as I normally do to folks who are in production, filming, TV, radio, you name it. We are now in the age of the internet and social media. Obviously, when this happened in 1865, there was very little communication amongst people, and trying to get the word out was much different than it is today. How do you find, social media as far as marketing and helping, getting the message out and with your movie?
Oh, I think it's everything. I'll tell you, when we retooled the Kickstarter campaign, Sean Astin, who is an actor and one of our executive producers, said, you've got to bring in this woman who does social media and handles these kind of campaigns. Her name is Leah Savoli, and she sat down and schooled me in social media. I mean, I consider myself, rather connected, but I'll tell you, I wasn't. In fact, Sean calls me Cro-Magnon Man because I'm not near where I should be as far as a social media presence or knowledgeable about technology, for social media. So we learned, and I'll tell you, the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, every one of those is vital to getting the word out. In fact, like I said, we had some great actors who were doing voices, and between them, they probably have close to 1 million Twitter followers, and all they have to do is say, tune into this or buy this or we highly recommend this, and I'll tell you, it can just go through the roof. So we were, like I said, we learned very fast, and we have embraced it. And I just don't see how you can do anything publicly without it anymore.
Boy, I get that, and thank you for sharing that as well, because as just of yesterday, Shannon, we were visiting the grandkids, and my little granddaughter, 2.5 years old, is styling with the iPhone. She's flipping through pictures, she's pulling up movies, and
that was weird.
She's not even out of diapers yet, and she knows how to use the iPhone. So, man, you hit home when you say this is the age of that stuff, and certainly it helps everybody. But boy, we really appreciate you guys coming on and helping us, get your story out. We love to do that kind of stuff. We wish you all the best with the movie, and please come back and tell us how things work out.
Do we have a website to
Well,
plug?
thank you for having us, and we can't wait for you to see it.
Awesome. You guys want to throw a website out there where folks can find out about what's going on?
Yeah, Mike?
I'd be www.sultana. Remember, is it? I'm gonna get it backwards, Mark. Is it rememberthesultana.com?
That goes to the Kickstarter site and goes to the documentary site too. And then the Sultana documentary .com is the website, and the Facebook page is facebook.com/Sultana documentary.
Awesome. Shannon's putting that up in the chat room. We want to thank all of you guys for joining us as our guests tonight, and we certainly love to have you back on. You better believe it.
Yeah, thank you, Jeff and Shannon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, guys, coming up next week, we've got a very special show. Shannon, I got to kind of hand this one to you, kid. You put this together at a pub on St. Patrick's Day, and why don't you introduce our next guest for next week?
For next week, if anybody is a Howard Stern fan, we have the Stuttering John.
Yeah,
we got to rip it up a little bit with him on St. Patrick's Day accidentally, and he will be our guest next week. So save your questions and call in, say hi, tell him you're still a fan. He's doing comedy out in LA now, so we'll be having him on.
Now, he sat with the great Howard Stern, which is so cool. And I don't think there's anything that we're going to do that's going to shock him. What kind of questions do you have for him?
I have no idea, because he's oddly normal to me. He's not the person that that we saw on television and heard on radio. So I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what to talk to him about. But he did want to use one of my jokes, though.
I know, he's all cleaned up. He's using your jokes, and
he is all cleaned up. Really it's a better look, because he looks like a little bit like the guy on the right. Who's that singer, Jeff?
James Morrison.
No, the comedy singer that always knocks off songs. The guy, the older guy with the curly hair. Beat it.
Oh, Weird Al Yankovic, of course.
He's got to lose the Jesus hair. So,
well, he did.
Thank you, Nathan. God, by the time he typed it, we figured. So we're gonna have Stuttering John on, John Melendez.
Very cool, from the Howard Stern Show, and he is doing comedy in LA and across the country, and I'm sure he'll have lots to tell, and that's going to be a 2-drink minimum, kid. No doubt about it. We want to thank all of you guys for joining us here on the Mothership, UpForDiscussionLive.com, and also on our new network, PTV Webcast Network. We want to thank everybody in LA, Shannon, in the Leominster area. JT and company, thank you so much for watching us. And until next time, guys, we'll see you then.
Bye, guys.